In this video, I'm going to talk about my first high ticket closer job where I was working 3 hours a day, making $20K a month for almost 18 months straight. So I get asked about this offer a lot, so I'm going to go into all the details here. And I was making that amount for almost 18 months in a row, but then I cut back on that offer to start this business, so who knows how much longer that streak would have continued. And the point of this video is to give you a real case study, because I never fucking see those, and just show you what is legitimately possible for you as a high ticket closer. So what does my day look like, what I'm selling, how many calls I was taking, and just give you a clear picture of what you could possibly do as well. And once you understand how these jobs work and how much money internet businesses make, you'll see why it's very possible to do this. So like 5 years ago, I was in tech sales. I've talked about this ad nauseum across this channel, and I was working basically a corporate sales job. I made good money, but I fucking hated that shit. And at night I would be on YouTube, kind of like you are now, looking at make money online stuff. And eventually I tried a couple of things like agency stuff, drop shipping, none of it worked for me. And then I was like, well, why don't I just try to get a sales position with one of these internet businesses, and then I can work my way up from there. So once I came to that decision, I started doing daily outreach on social media, and I did that every single day for 9 months. And basically got nowhere for the first 6 months. And I started to get some replies because I didn't know what the hell I was doing. And eventually, around month 8 or 9, I got a reply from a fitness coach. We got on a call, we just hit it off, and it was the good timing. And he was like, okay, I'm gonna bring you on as a closer. Now, I had no high ticket sales experience. I had previous sales experience, a lot of it, but I didn't have any high ticket experience. However, like I said, we hit it off on the call and he just gave me a shot. So even though I didn't have any experience selling high ticket products, I still got a good role just because we had a good call. All because of that. So if you have a good interview, you can easily get good roles. At the end of the day, all that matters is if they like you or not. Okay, it's like a huge limiting belief with people. You don't need experience. You don't need ninja fucking sales skills. You don't need to buy a sales training. All hiring comes down to is if they like you or not and they think you will fit their culture. Okay, I've proved this with myself and with many, many other people in my program. Everybody you see on my channel that I've helped get a job did not have high ticket sales experience. 0 of them. Now, for the role, I started it full-time right out of the gate. So I was taking a normal full day of calls. It was 8 calls a day, and that's accounting for after the people that no-showed. And like I mentioned, I'd never taken a high-ticket sales call before, but I had been studying it for months. I've been watching videos. I'd found some scripts online, some recorded calls. So I'd been doing homework basically, so I sort of knew what to do. And another reason this doesn't matter is because any good business is going to give you a script to follow. It's no big deal, The only place that you're actually going to learn and get better and become good at this is by doing it. By taking the calls, not by watching 578 hours of sales training. That you're going to get nowhere. So when I started the offer, the first 2 months or so were pretty rough. I made 4 or 5K in the first 2 months. And then in month 3, that went up to 7K. And then in month 4, I think my first big number was 11K. So it's a perfect example of what I tell you guys is going to happen. And it's exactly what happened to me. The role started out rough, not what I imagined it would be, right? And it wasn't because the business was bad. It was just because I was new. And there's ramp time in any new sales role. And then soon after that, I went on to make insane money. Now, during the first 6 months, like I mentioned the timing earlier, he was earlier on in the business. He was successful and making good money, but it was around that 6-month mark of me being there where the business took off like a rocket. When I first got there, he had a lot of followers, but then he was taking all the sales calls. So he brought me on and I took over all the calls, which gave him a ton of time back where he could now make way more content and also add in paid advertisements. And in turn, his account grew a shitload more. So he started getting way more traffic, way more leads. It was just popping off basically. And then obviously I started making way more money. After 6 months, I was working 6 days a week, taking 6 to 8 calls a day that showed, and I was hitting at least 20K a month consistently, and many months were higher than that at my peak of doing this full time. So what happened here? I got on with a good business owner who was selling a good product that people wanted to buy. That is your base foundation. He was selling a very in-depth, personalized fitness coaching program to all his followers. Hey, buy my program, you get a lot of access to me. I'll work directly with you to help you lose weight, gain muscle, improve your health, whatever. I'll do all your workouts, all your meal plans. That was the comprehensive product. And since the product was legit and he was legit, it sold really well. Like I didn't have to, this shit sold itself. I didn't have to sell nobody. That's the power of like a personal brand where people are obsessed with the guy. Now, the timeline was this. When I first got on this offer, I had to learn how a high ticket sales call was run because I was used to like really long sales cycles from tech sales. And also had to learn this new type of product, get my feet under me, while also it was taking him time to get things dialed in, right? And running really efficiently at a higher level. When you're growing and scaling a business, things are just breaking on the way up. That's just how it is. You just got to keep moving. But because of all that, I made a lower amount in my first couple of months. Then I got to the 10K mark. And then once he grew bigger and he got everything in the business running like a well-oiled machine, I benefited from that and I was able to make much greater money. Now, you can get into this and get on with businesses who are making a ton of money and have been doing that for a while, and you can come in and get dropped in and start making 15K a month right away, sure, but it all depends on the business. And those roles like that are obviously going to be much more difficult to get if you have no experience. That should be obvious. You can work up to those, but it's unlikely that you're just going to get dropped into a business that's fucking crushing it. You know what I'm saying? And the situation that I was in was perfect because his business was already successful, but it hadn't exploded yet. So I came in at the right time to reap all of the benefits when it did. And that is why I was able to get to 20K a month so quickly. And there's many opportunities, again, to get closer roles in businesses like this. It doesn't have to take you years to get there. I'm just saying you should shoot for the 10K mark in your first role, and then you want to get to really big numbers. That's probably going to be in your next role, which doesn't take that long to get to. Now, how did I get to making 20K a month in this role, working 3 hours a day, taking 3 to 4 calls a day, to be more specific? At a certain point, I knew I was going to start this business, the sales job program. And when I decided that, I went to him and I told him, I was like, hey, I'd really like to make the next transition, start my own business. Can we work out where I continue to do this part-time because I love selling for you and I can just take calls in the morning so I have the rest of the day to work on the business? And since I'd done nothing but make him a shitload of money and been an amazing salesperson, he was like, yeah, sure, no problem. So we worked out a schedule. And I kept taking calls 6 days a week, sometimes 7 days a week, and I would be scheduled for 4 calls every morning, which would happen in like a 3 to 4 hour time block. And because his business and systems were dialed, he had a ton of followers that loved him and his content. I was consistently closing 1 out of those 3 calls a day, and sometimes it was 2 out of 3 or 3 out of 4, almost every day. That is an insanely high closing rate. And it's because he had a legit large following. His brand was so solid, and a ton of those followers were just obsessed with him and his content and engaged with his content all the time and trusted him. So because of all that, again, my close rate was insanely high. And the details of his program, the program cost $6K, which is a higher level fitness program. So I made $600 to $900 on every sale. 1 sale a day, working about 25 days a month. And I was at 15K on the low end. And many months I was at 20K or above because many times I would make more than 1 sale a day. Now, to reiterate, there are many reasons that made this possible. Legit business owner who knew what he was doing. He had a legitimate product that people were dying to buy from him, and the product got people really good results. And he took the business seriously. He really cared about that shit. It's all he cared about. So everything was dialed in and he worked on it every day. All the things I just listed, when you combine those, like you're gonna just print money from the sky because those are all the vital parts of running a successful business. And those things are crucial if you want to make a lot of money as a closer for a high ticket business. And it's why I just smack you guys in the face and tell you over and over, the most important part of succeeding at this is finding the right role with the right business, not your sales skills, not your sales training. If you want to continue to go pay sales trainers for sales trainings that don't help you get good opportunities, be my guest. I'm never going to do that. I'm not going to teach you how to do sales. That is for normies who want to pretend like they're doing something to move towards their goals when they're literally just mentally masturbating. Like, you will get better at sales immediately and you get on calls in like a week than spending the next 3 fucking years taking sales training. So it's like, you need to just look in the mirror and be like, do you actually want to make money, or are you just fucking lying to yourself and you're just going to sit on videos until you're like 90 fucking years old? The money that you are going to make is downstream from the business owner and the product. I don't care about your sales skills. Anyone that tells you differently doesn't know what they're talking about, and they're trying to sell you a sales training. And the good news is that there's many businesses out there like this that I was on. Well, there's also many shitty ones. So that's the whole reason my program exists, is to help people figure out what the good opportunities are as opposed to the bad ones and how to get into these good ones. That's literally it at the end of the day. That is the summary of why my program exists. So your focus just needs to be on finding the good ones and sifting through the bad ones until you get to the good opportunities. Now, other points to remember is, again, I didn't hit 10K a month until my 4th month in the role, like sometime in month 4. And then I went on to make insane money working like a few hours a day for a long time. What most people do, though, is they get into a role and they make like 3K in their first month, and then they throw a temper tantrum and they just quit and they just give up. So what you should do is, if you're in one of these situations, or a situation like that happens to you in the future, is just look at the situation objectively. Ask questions like, okay, why am I not at 10K yet? Or why am I not making a certain number yet? Is it because this business is shitty and their product is shitty and their marketing is shitty and this turned out to be a total disaster when I got in here and the business owner is a total idiot? Or is it because I'm just new to this and the business owner might be ironing some small things out and I just need to put my head down and work hard? Basically, are the systems in place for you to make money? Lead generation, marketing, right? A business owner that cares. These things are all important. A product that people actually want to buy, right? An offer that works. Have you even looked at these things before throwing a temper tantrum? You probably should. And this is why most people never succeed at this, because most people are not able to work hard at something for a couple of months to get a reward. The second important point to remember is that I started exactly where you are at right now, and arguably in a worse situation, because I didn't have YouTube videos like this. I had never done this before. I had no idea what to do, and I got a really good role just through like blind outreach with no guidance from anywhere. And I did that just through like showing up every night and just banging my head against the wall. No experience. So why can't you do it too, is the point. The only reason that you won't do it is because you'll give up and you just won't keep going when things are hard. But now you have channels like mine where I tell you exactly what to do for free. I give everything away. I literally gatekeep nothing. And you can join my program where I will hold your hand and keep you accountable the entire time until you get a legitimate opportunity. You can only fail if you quit. The third important point is that I took the role seriously, like life or death from day one. I'd given up a fucking $300,000 a year corporate tech sales job to do this shit. Of course I took it seriously. Even when I was making a much lower amount of money, I was like, I'm doing this. I'm all in. I had burned the bridges, right? So I was committed all in from day one because I decided I'm going to figure this out. And most people that I talk to that want to get into this on like sales calls or in the DMs, they just don't have this mindset. They're just like, oh, well, they're just reaching out to like get some fucking information or like dip their toe in, right? Which is most normies, which is why they fail at everything and never get anywhere and end up back to the fucking Netflix. They don't have a destination in their mind where they are going. They aren't proactively thinking about where they want to go other than the next like 30 seconds where they can get dopamine. Like they're just hoping that they're going to get into something like, oh, it'll work out somehow. Magically, it'll just pop out of the fucking sky or something. They're just hoping to get into something and then be like, oh, the work is over. But the work will never be over. Every day will be the same. There will always be work to do. That is never going to end. And if you don't decide on a destination and say, I'm doing this and I will take action every day to get this, life is going to choose for you where it's going to take you. And you don't want to see where that leads. That's the end of the video. If you want my help getting a closer role or a setter role, go to the links in the description. Until next time.